You set the table, put on a playlist, even made the lasagna from scratch. And now you're wearing it. OxyClean Max Force Spray tackles tough, set-in stains the first time. Adulting is hard. Fighting stains shouldn't be. OxyClean Max Force. It's not clean unless it's OxyClean.
Are you ready to dairy-free your mind? This summer, melt away your dairy-free expectations with So Delicious dairy-free frozen desserts. Enjoy mind-blowing flavors like salted caramel cluster, chocolate cookies and cream, cookie dough, and more. For over 35 years, So Delicious has been cranking up the flavor with show-stopping products that are 100% dairy-free, certified vegan by Vegan Action, and are so unbelievably creamy, your taste buds will do a double take. Dairy-free your mind. Visit SoDeliciousDairyFree.com.
Adam.
Beau?
Our hero, Elizabeth Warren.
Yes.
She wrote an op-ed in the Times that should have been titled, I f***ing told you that was going to happen again.
4 decades after its creation, Silicon Valley Bank was the 16th largest bank in the U.S.
We begin this morning with the banking
losing nearly
blame game,
half of its value during trading yesterday.
Largest bank collapse
it took just a
in
day
U.S.
and a
history.
half.
The Federal Reserve has raised interest rates.
So
again.
here we are in the aftermath of more bank wipeouts. It's like it's uncanny that it could happen again, and that means that there's scams galore about to happen. Correct?
Without question, be careful with email, phone calls, texts that in any way make any reference whatsoever to the bank failures. It's one thing if your financial institution sends you a note that does not ask you to click on a link or open an attachment that talks about how you're okay with them because they didn't do what those banks did.
Yeah.
But there are going to be a lot of other communications you're going to get, and delete them, hang up the phone, don't click on links. Be really, really careful because the scammer is going to be out in force on this one.
That includes all you people out there who think you're too smart to get got, because you will also be seeing emails from scammers who know what you do for a living. And it'll say something along the lines of, we know that you've been waiting to hear about the bridge loan that we're securing in the wake of the wipeout, and this is the most recent information we can give you. And it'll seem like information you are actually waiting for, like the bridge loan that saves your bank, your particular bank, from mayhem. They could be smart. They could be more than your average phishing email.
And even if it looks convincing, just call your bank. It'll only take a couple of minutes to confirm whether or not that was a scam.
Go to the source if you don't want remorse.
Indeed.
Welcome to What the Hack, a show about hackers, scammers, and the people they go after. I'm Adam, cyber protector of drained bank accounts.
I'm Beau, cyber polisher of all dull bowling balls.
And I'm Travis, cyber Alka-Seltzer in a seagull's gut.
Yes.
Wow, Travis. That hurt my sinuses.
Seagull had it coming.
And today we hear a story about an empty bank account and a long road to recovering funds by a guy in the entertainment industry. Jason, welcome to our show, and we're excited to have you here. So, first off, where are you coming to us from?
I am coming from Los Angeles, California.
I've heard of it. I've heard of that place. Anyway, normally I would grill you with the ferocity of a prosecutor in front of a grand jury. But because you are Bennington and because we have the Bennington boys here today, I'm going to turn this over to Travis and Beau.
No. You don't get off so easily, sir. Now ask him a pointed prosecutorial question now, or I'm leaving.
Okay, so how tall are you, Jay? No. So what do you do?
I work in television and film, primarily as a cinematographer and a director.
And is that for broadcast TV, like narrative television, news? What do you do? What's your area?
My main area is in unscripted, so I do a lot of doc stuff, reality TV stuff, that kind of thing. And what I direct, it's narrative comedy stuff. The unscripted stuff is bigger stuff, a lot of Bravo stuff, TLC shows, like things like that.
Of all the projects you've done, Jason, what's your favorite?
My favorite program that I worked on, it's probably, I've been the director of photography for a show called Vanderpump Rules on Bravo for now, well, since the beginning. And that's probably been my favorite experience because it's been a show that people really enjoy, and it's a wild ride.
Well, wait. I'm dying to know. What's the latest scandal?
I think the tabloids probably have better information on it than I do right now. And if I did have further information, I'd be sworn to secrecy anyway.
Darn. I was really revving up for that one. So, since you have experience with our world-famous co-host, Travis Taylor, what's a good, funny story about Travis you can share with us? Because we're dying to know.
And by good, I mean really, really good. We want to torture him with this. Do it. Come on, do it.
Oh my gosh.
I will track you down.
Yeah, Travis does know where I live. Since this is also a podcast about hacking and hackers, I may leave those alone. I'd say Travis gave me a really nice hug one time.
Yeah.
Wow, you are a wuss.
It was out of character.
Aw.
Well, one thing, Jason, both you and Adam have in common is that both of you really tried to sell me on Top Gun Maverick. And I finally watched it this weekend, and...
so good.
What? Yeah, what?
And?
Why?
Oh my God, that's ridiculous,
What?
Travis. You
Wait
were like
a
sitting
minute,
here.
no.
Travis was just... you guys don't know this, but earlier today, Travis was 100% like wrapped in red, white, and blue, jingoistic, yada-yada-yada, telling me what a horrible human being I was for not just being 100% like, yay, our guys overseas.
Yeah, that's exactly
how could you not like that movie? Come on.
You
okay,
didn't?
maybe not exact. Maybe
You
that
didn't
wasn't
like
a
the
fair.
It was a short Scientologist kind of getting over everything that happened in the previous movie from 30 years ago.
Hey,
Oh, come on.
Hey. Tom Cruise is a very excellently aggressive mesomorph, and I like him.
Okay.
No, but they've credited Top Gun with being one of the two movies that basically saved Hollywood in 2022.
I mean, the jet fighter scenes were pretty fun. Seeing Val Kilmer again was great, but otherwise, yeah. Let me pivot a little bit past my Tom Cruise resentment and my questioning of both your judgment. Yeah, Jason and I met on the first day of college. They made us go into a team activity of dropping an egg off of a balcony. But yeah, since then, yeah, I've known actually Jason longer than I've known you, Beau.
You've known Jason, actually, 3 months longer than you've known me.
Yep.
You win, Jason, by 3 months. And was his scam already afoot then when you met him? Dropping eggs off of in a weird trust wall thing?
I'm still trying to figure out what the trust of throwing an egg off a balcony is.
Well, Trav, should we tell him what we determined was our best strategy?
Style, yeah.
We went for style, so everyone else did attempt to make some sort of cradle or parachute or something like that. And we just looked at the egg and we said, F it, and we just threw it right at the ground. And that sums up the Bennington experience.
As much as we'd love to hear more about Travis in college, which without question must have been quite an adventure, that's not why you're on the show today. But you did have an experience living in New York that's apropos of our podcast. What happened?
I experienced quite a serious sort of bank credit fraud event. I was only 1 year out of school when this happened. I was using my debit card around town, and as I recall, it was declined, which was a bit of a surprise to me. I assumed I had money in there. I was working. I was making pretty decent money for a kid that was 21, just out of school. I was happy. I had beer money and rent money. So I went over to my local bank branch and I asked them what was going on. And they were like, well, it's pretty simple. You don't have any money in your account. I didn't realize that my account was empty. So we started looking at transactions, which is something that I didn't do at all at that time. And I would get these statements in the mail and I might look at them, maybe not. I was just happy to have a job and some money. So as we started looking over these transactions, I saw a bunch of things that I did not recognize. There were a bunch of suspicious transactions. And going over with the bank associate was like, oh, I've never been to that restaurant. I've never been to that bodega. I've never been to any of these places.
Were they all in New York, though?
I lived downtown, and these were all like way uptown and places I just had never even been to in the city at that point. So, I immediately was like, I don't know what to do with these.
If you think back, was there a place that might have taken your credit card information? You did mention having beer money. So I'm wondering, did you ever hand that card over as a tab by way of holding a tab at a bar?
Oh, well, certainly. Yeah, certainly.
In Europe now, when you buy something at a restaurant, they don't take your credit card away from you. They swipe it right in front of you. I'm sure you know that. And even in America now, you'll see it more and more. Well, they'll have a portable machine to swipe your card. And the reason for that is it reduces the chances that a waiter or another person at the restaurant takes a photograph of your card and then can just use it, reproduce it, whatever.
The truth is, whether it's a photograph, a skimmer, or who knows what, there are a lot of ways that someone could get your bank card information. But your bank was emptied out, your card was used by somebody who wasn't you. What happened next?
At that point, the bank started a fraud investigation. We kind of went through all the charges and we looked at it all. And then they had sort of thought, well, how secure is your mailbox?
Did you have locking mailboxes where you lived in the dorm? Or was it just mail was dumped in just like a file box and everyone said, just go get your mail?
Is that Bennington College you're talking about?
Yeah, just wide open mailboxes.
Did you have this bank card when you were a student at Bennington?
I don't believe I did.
And after college, even if your apartment had a locking mailbox, we know these are actually not really very secure.
Yeah.
What was the investigation like?
During the investigation, basically all of my money was gone or frozen or in some sort of limbo. And for me, I didn't really have anywhere else to go on that. So I was kind of just free falling through New York City, relying on friends, any way I could sort of just like stay afloat while all this was going on. And it was pretty hard.
We all had roommates those early days in New York, but I'd imagine that my sense of pity or mercy, if I were your roommate, would have just been maybe a few days before I started to get kind of impatient.
Yeah, thankfully we sort of developed a system that only people in their very early 20s could develop, which is, okay, I'll pay for this week and you pay for next week. And that was just sort of a running tab that we had going. In no way, I don't think that actually helped our problem. It just made us feel better for a week at a time. But yeah, he was cashing my checks for me when I couldn't get to the bank, and it just was. His patience was long, and I appreciate that deeply. That's why we're still good friends today. Being young in New York is hard already. Forget about just kind of faltering through a financial crisis that's not of your own making.
What else was going on with the investigation? Did the bank believe you? Or did they think you were just trying to scam them?
Toward me, I feel like they were very skeptical because they were like, these are reasonable charges. These are restaurants. You have other restaurant charges. These are bodegas. You have other bodega charges. And the reason they stood out to me was that they were all in neighborhoods that I hadn't visited. So convincing them of that was kind of tricky. And it did launch this very lengthy investigation where they were basically like, yeah, really sorry, but we don't have anything for you until we complete the investigation.
Well, not only that, but in those days, the victim of an identity theft or account takeover was considered guilty until proven innocent.
100%.
Things have radically changed over the years. But in those days, no, you were the bad guy.
Especially at your age,
yes.
If you're just out of college. I can just sort of imagine sitting down and be like, hey, I'm 21 and someone's been running up a bar tab.
You're like, yeah, sure.
Sure, Hella.
That was exactly what it felt like. When I went in there, I was sort of a 21-year-old kid who didn't really know what was happening. I was suddenly broke, and they were like, yeah, just, hang out by the phone. We'll give you a call between 10 and 60 days. Such, what we decide.
Yeah, good luck on that.
And I was afraid to cash checks or deposit checks, obviously, because I felt correctly so that my account was totally compromised.
And what was the work you were doing?
At that time, I was working as a freelance lighting technician for, off-Broadway theater and doing the occasional production assistant job for commercials in town.
So probably not the sort of thing where you can just, take a week off just to iron out that whole fraud thing, right?
No, not at all. It's certainly not at all. It was hard to get into the branch to check in, but I did make myself pretty familiar with that branch, and they did get sick of seeing me. But the answer was always, we're working on it. We'll let you know.
But you see, you were persistent, which is a lot of people aren't persistent. A lot of people are very reticent to fight with financial institutions, and being aggressive and saying, "This is my money. This is my right," is an important step for a lot of people.
How much money are we talking about?
Gosh, I mean, I think at that time it was, maybe around total $5,000.
Wow, so a ton of money for someone that age.
For me, yeah. I mean, I had called. I remember my father calling at one point and saying like, "How's it going in the big city?" And I was like, "Dad, I can't believe it. Like, I'm actually paying my bills. I'm doing all right." That must have been a kiss and tell.
Yeah, famous last words.
A few months later, I was just broke, and my persistence was with the bank was simply because I just didn't have any money, and I was using my roommate and my best friend as an ATM in a bank. I would try to sign checks over to him, or he would loan me money. But again, this is 2001, so like signing a check over to someone could take 10 days to clear. It just wasn't the instantaneous economy that we have now, and I was really flailing out there.
This episode is brought to you by State Farm. Checking off the boxes on your to-do list is a great feeling. And when it comes to checking off coverage, a State Farm agent can help you choose an option that's right for you. Whether you prefer talking in person, on the phone, or using the award-winning app, it's nice knowing you have help finding coverage that best fits your needs. Like a good neighbor, State Farm is there.
Make your next vacation unforgettable on Royal Caribbean's newest ship, Star of the Seas. It's everything you've loved about every family vacation you've ever been on, with mind-blowing thrills at the largest water park at sea, 7 onboard pools for every level of chill, more than 40 ways to dine and drink, and even more to enjoy at our award-winning private island, Perfect Day at Coco Cay. This is the new Star of the Seas. Click or tap the banner to find out more.
I can't recall how long it took them to complete the investigation, but I mean, it was at least a month for them to sort of determine, okay, you may not be at fault. And the funny part is, I think that they had picked out a few. They were like, nah, these aren't fraud. Like, we're not giving you back those. But the main chunk of money, because I think, as you talk about so wonderfully on the podcast, like they were testing the waters with some small stuff, and then they made the big hit. And so the big amount of money they did get back, but again, that was like a few weeks too. And at that point, every day for me was like, I've been checking the ATM, checking to see if they had come through. It just never felt like it was going to happen.
Back in 2001, they would give themselves 30 days to investigate. Today, it's 10 days or less. And under the Electronic Funds Transfer Act, they're supposed to help you as fast as they can. Did you ever get any indication from the bank as to how they finally determined that you were a victim of fraud, or it was just the money was back and you didn't even care at that point? It's like, I got my money back.
Yeah, the money was back, and they were the ones who presented the theory that perhaps your mail had been stolen. And the story actually continues a little bit after this. The money was returned, and then fraudulent checks started popping up, and it was just really like a hat on a hat of pain here. And at that point, I just thought, I guess this is my life now. I'm just going to be a victim of fraud. And it felt pretty hopeless. And that was when I just fully was like, I've got to close this account. I don't want to mess around anymore. They seemed to have, like the bank, as I recall, had an unwillingness to just change my account number for some reason. I don't know why, or I had asked for that a few times. And then when the check thing happened, I took all my money out and I just said, I'm closing my account. That's the best thing to do. And I very unwisely figured out, I think through the address on like the checks that the bank had. And I went uptown to look for them and I did not thankfully find them.
So you reached a certain point with this. It was determined that you were the victim of a scam. Was it determined how you were being scammed? Was it by one person or more than one person?
I don't know that I ever got a hard and fast answer on that. It seemed to be a collective of some sort due to the fact that the checks were being used in one way, the original debit card was being used in a different way. And it all, it was, I don't remember exactly, but I think a lot of it was up in the same neighborhood, like way, way up on the Upper West Side of Manhattan. And a lot of the same places were being used, like the same restaurant, the same bodega. And, in my mind, I was thinking like all these people must be in on it because they're calling in a card, somebody's not checking too carefully. They're just letting it through.
As of 2002, there's me, Josh Maurice, Jake, and Garen and Nate Meyer. We were all living in the Upper West Side, like on 140th. And so we were saying that. I was just like, was it one of those guys? Like,
you son of a bitch, it was you.
Yeah. Fortunately, I was like, I wasn't there at the time, but yeah.
That I don't think I've ever really got a hard and fast answer.
Did you change any of your practices or anything?
Things really reached a head and my frustration, forced me to basically move out of the city and try a new place.
Wow. Did it solve the problem?
Did it solve the problem of being...
Yeah, scammed.
Well, I just closed that account entirely.
But that was the end of it, though. You didn't have any more.
That was the end of it, yes. Closing the account and moving out of town was the end of the problem.
Did you stay with the same bank or did you switch banks?
I switched banks, yeah. I've returned since to Chase, which was like a fun step. I still 20 years later when I switched back to Chase, I still had like all those old feelings of just like it sort of, I wouldn't say it all flooded back to me, but I really never trusted them. I held a lot of resentment toward them for that. But now I'm a happy Chase customer.
Look at it this way. At least you weren't a customer, Silicon Valley Bank or Signature Bank.
Well, yeah.
Did the lack of trust extend to like all banks or was it just Chase?
Gosh, that's a pretty good question. My next bank was not a large bank. It was a credit union in Portland. And I definitely felt more personal attention there. And that did feel better because I did feel lost in the big system in this. It just, they were like, all right, great. We'll get back to you. And I think I did go to a credit union because of that.
Yeah, I'm a big credit union fan for that reason.
Yeah, they're very member-centric credit unions.
Since 2001, I am an absolute hawk over my bank account statements. I'll check them several times weekly. Same with credit cards. I'm the kind of person I feel like, if I lose my wallet, I'm putting a tracking device on it. If I get my bank account hacked, I'm like, this is a focus now. And since I think I've been a victim of identity theft in the small ways that a lot of people have where, that a charge popped up. But it made me very aware of this for the rest of my adult life so far, where I've just really, really been on it.
What's being on it look like for you?
Utilizing all the credit monitoring services that my banks now provide for me. Always looking carefully over my credit card statement. I do primarily use a credit card for all purchases now, so I'm always keeping an eye on it. And just generally checking in with credit scores and things like that.
Do you have a credit monitoring program?
I don't have a specific credit monitoring program outside of the ones that my bank provide.
Have you signed up for transaction alerts with your bank, for instance, where they notify you anytime an activity occurs in your account?
I do not have transaction alerts for every transaction. No.
Oh. I'm going to let your friend Travis of the egg flinging bond.
Egg dropping.
The Eggman.
Travis.
Yes.
Set your friend straight. Set your friend straight on the transaction alerts, please.
You should have transaction alerts set up, Jason.
Jason, what are you thinking that you don't have transaction alerts? That's what you're supposed to say to Jason.
That's what Travis would say to me if we were sitting across the table right now. He'd be like, "You idiot. Why don't you have transaction alerts?"
True.
You make him sound like a robot. So
do you have a credit freeze?
I do not have a credit freeze. No.
What about 3 credit freezes since there's 3 of them?
There's 4.
Shut up.
It's actually probably even more than that, but 4 work. Yeah.
Okay. So yes.
The better
Travis,
way to put it is, have you frozen your credit?
I have not frozen my credit. No.
Have you locked your credit?
I have not locked my credit. No.
Have you locked the door to your house?
In a Bennington College way, I have not locked the door to my house. No.
Do you have T-shirts with your social security number written on them?
Just this tattoo.
All right. So tell us, Jason, of the not terribly active on the preventative side, what do you do to keep yourself from getting hacked?
Well, I mean, now I feel like I'm not doing anything at all, but I do. I keep a very close eye on my accounts. So, I use the online tools to look at them quite frequently, the credit card and my checking and savings accounts, so that very few transactions go unnoticed.
Mm-hmm.
And both the banks that I use offer credit score and, sort of credit reporting for free that you can check anytime. And I do somewhat obsessively check my credit score.
And what is your credit? What is your credit score and the account number for both bank accounts? Could you just say?
And your social security number while you're at it. So.
No, but all right, Travis. Travis told us not to be rough on you, and I know we've been beating up on you a little bit. Do you feel like we've been beating up on you a little bit?
No. If I need it, I need it.
Adam, does he need it?
I think maybe we need a little come to Jesus meeting on this. Yeah.
Travis?
Yes.
Do you feel like your friend Jason kind of is asking for it?
I mean, yeah, the antagonistic part of me has to say absolutely, but yeah.
Do you feel the need to protect your friend,
I do think 2 big things that I can just say right off the bat are the credit freeze and dark web monitoring.
All right, Adam, hit him with the 3 M's. Jason, listen to this just once. If you forget it immediately, you try to remember something.
He listens to the show, or at least
if you forget it immediately, you are like the rest of America, but that's okay.
Well, that's why they say it again, because we're all knuckleheads. Yeah, because we do forget.
Yeah, the 3 M's are: how do you minimize your risk of exposure or reduce your attackable surface? How do you monitor so you know as quickly as possible that you have a problem? And how do you manage the damage? Minimizing is everything from long and strong passwords or a password manager. Use 2-factor authentication. Don't just simply click on links or open an attachment because you think Travis sent it to you. Make sure Travis did send it to you. And at least one thing that Travis does that very few people do, he makes sure that whatever he gets comes from the right place and it's the real deal.
Okay, now he's going to keep on with Travis. So I'm going to tell you a few more practical things, which is like use a mailbox that it locks or is somewhere where you can control it, unlike Bennington College. And
bagels.
In your personally identifiable information, whether that's tax documents or pay stubs or your 1099, whatever, keep them somewhere safe. And if you have, for instance, you may have people in your house doing work. Maybe somebody's fixing your plumbing or cleaning your house, or you have a party and you have people, not all of them in your house. You shouldn't have anything out that could be used to steal your identity or steal money from you in one way or another. And it goes on, but it is basically minimize your exposure is essentially having a kind of casually paranoid outlook on life.
And freeze your credit. That's part of the M, the first M.
Mm-hmm.
Monitor is get your credit report and actually read it. And look in particular for things you didn't do as opposed to things that you did do. Also, check your credit scores. You can get a score monitoring program as part of credit monitoring.
And dark web monitoring.
And you should do that. Also, dark web monitoring to see if any of your information is being sold in a place it shouldn't be sold to people who shouldn't be buying it. If you want to get more granular even, check your explanation of benefit statements that come from your health insurer, because you might find out that you weren't the one that had the appointment. And always consider sophisticated forms of monitoring, which include most of what we just talked about, including what's called the instant notification, which is not, Jason, someone at some point might have been using your information, as to, Jason, someone is attempting to use your Social Security number right now. Is it you? Yes or no?
Yeah, tighten up that stuff, because it does, I get the drag of it is, Jason, like I just the other day was, Adam can tell you this happens. I have my stuff set so tightly that I yesterday was like, where are those things that I ordered from Home Depot? They haven't come yet. And then I went online and I realized that Home Depot was not allowed to process the payment because my credit card did not recognize me as a Home Depot shopper and just said no. But I'd rather be slightly inconvenienced by that than the higher level of inconvenience of being scammed, even though these days, if it's a credit card and you call and you say that wasn't me, they'll pretty much, get rid of the charge. What they won't do, even though they're getting better at it, is give the new credit card number to all of the places where you use it. So it is actually an inconvenience no matter how you slice it.
Every time you change your credit card number, they always tell you have to notify any place that you've done business with. Especially,
and it can be a lot. And that is a drag. You're going to lose a day. You're going to lose a day of your life there. And the way around that is to have credit freezes and to tell your credit card company, I want you to inconvenience me.
Not only that, but
tell me when you're not sure.
A lot of the new credit cards also have a freezing capability as well, which is different. And that's where if you think you've lost it or it's been stolen, you can instantly put a freeze on your credit.
Yeah, and that way you don't have to get a new number if you find it.
Right.
That's great.
And then there's the third M.
What's that?
And the third M is, how do you manage the damage? A lot of people don't realize that through their insurance company, their financial institution, or where they work, a program is available to help them through identity incidents. It could be free, as a perk of their relationship. It could be deeply discounted or not. And so what you need to do is contact your insurance agent, your financial services rep, or the HR department at work and say, do you have a program that'll help me get through an identity incident? Am I already in it? If not, what do I need to do to get in it? Is it discounted? Is it free? Or what's it going to cost me?
I think at the end of the day, too, this is sort of the exact opposite of the grandparent scam, where when you're just out of college, when you're young, when you're in your early 20s, you're not really thinking of all that. It's just a lot more about kind of living paycheck to paycheck and kind of just dealing with that level of instability. And I think that can be pretty daunting, actually, when you're that age. Like, I was not taking any of these precautions when I was in my early 20s either. It was just, it's one of those things where that makes you such a great target for scammers. I think one of the other things, too, though, Jason, I know that your work has meant that you've moved around a lot, or like been all over the country, and I think that ends up even being more difficult to keep on top of your finances and credit, just because if you're like in Kentucky or if you're in Minnesota or anything like that, that just being able to figure out what looks like a suspicious transaction seems like even more of a needle in a haystack, ultimately.
Can you say suspicious 5 times really fast?
Probably not, no.
This episode is brought to you by the world's first reposado from Tequila Herradura. Made with slow-cooked, hand-harvested agave sealed into oak barrels and aged 11 months. Before being enjoyed in your glass. Experience the world's first reposado, Tequila Herradura. Please drink responsibly. Responsibility.org. Tequila Herradura. 40% alcohol by volume. Imported by Brown-Forman, Louisville, Kentucky. Herradura is a registered trademark. Copyright 2025 Brown-Forman Corporation.
Hey, it's Sydney Sweeney. I'm not here to tell you to buy American Eagle jeans. And I definitely won't say that they're the most comfortable jeans I've ever worn. Or that they make your butt look amazing. Why would I need to do that? But if you said that you want to buy the jeans, I'm not going to stop you. But just so we're clear, this is not me telling you to buy American Eagle jeans.
Sydney Sweeney, Hasbro jeans.
You see what I did there, right?
Jason, we really appreciate you spending time with us today and, sharing a story that without doubt was very daunting for somebody who's young and starting out. Now that you're old and wizened and can look back on it.
Hey.
A different story. Well, we are all old and wizened.
I was going to say, you're just so projecting. Thank you, Jason.
I'll tell you the really good Travis juicy stuff off the air.
Yep.
Excellent.
He has the same hold over us, Jason.
Yep. I have a very, very keen memory and a very, very sharp sense of vengeance. So
it's so true.
Jason, I worked at an animal rescue one year during college, and this place was kind of illegal. They rescued / stole rhesus monkeys from labs where they were used as test animals. And so there was this, very large group of rhesus monkeys in this cage. And I was standing by the monkey cage, and this monkey came over to me, to the cage, and he looked at me, and I looked at him. And then he opened his eyes really wide and opened his mouth. So I, thinking that we were about to have a great friendship, opened my eyes and opened my mouth. And when I did that, he opened his mouth twice. Then another monkey came over and did the same thing. There were 20 monkeys and me. I was standing on one side of the fence and 20 monkeys on the other side were going. My supervisor walked up to me and was like, "What are you doing?" And I said, "I'm making friends with the monkeys." And she said, "No, you're having an argument with them." Now, this story, these monkeys were all related to Travis because every day I would walk by that monkey cage. Every day they would be really chill, like their shoulder up against the fence. But they try to make it like low key that they had their arm outside of the fence, and then they try to grab my hair. That's Travis.
I do listen to the podcast and I really enjoy it, guys. So thanks for doing it. I'm going to go freeze my credit right now.
Okay, now it is time for the tinfoil swan, which is what, Adam?
Oh, come on, Beau. You know it's our paranoid takeaway to help keep you safe online.
Fine. I do. What do we have this week?
Okay. One thing that jumps out at me from Jason's story is how financially vulnerable that kids can be when they graduate from college. And it's not just student loans.
Which is not to be ignored.
Yeah, well, okay. Just trying to get out there in the world and having to make rent, pay bills, find a job.
Keep said job.
True.
And all this makes them ideal targets for scammers.
Right. When you're fresh out of school, you're probably too busy to get your act together to keep an eye on your credit because you probably don't have that much in the way of a credit history.
All right, so where are you going with this, Travis?
Well, I've been out of school for a couple of decades, and I fortunately have like another decade or so before having to deal with my kids going to school.
Okay, enjoy it while it lasts.
Sure. I have to say that one of the best gifts you can give a recent college grad is to spring for credit monitoring services.
Absolutely. And as we've seen over and over again, no one is immune from identity theft. Scammers are lazy. Lazy. They go after the easiest targets they can find, and young adults fit the bill.
Well, it's probably not going to be anything they thank you for, actually.
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't expect a big, thanks for the dark web monitoring, Dad. But as we saw in Jason's case, that derailed his entire life. I mean, I'm glad he got back on track. He is a friend of mine. But when you think of all the melodrama and uncertainty that goes with being in your early 20s, the idea of adding identity theft or bank fraud and all the rest is like dropping a hammer on your foot.
Get off it, Travis. You don't even own a hammer.
I do.
No, but I think the point here is if you're going to give a recent grad any kind of gift and one that will keep on giving, as opposed to them being the gift that keeps on giving, helping to pay to keep their data, their identity, and their finances safe, that's a good present.
Totally. I mean, doing laundry is a hassle at that age. And I figured that very few recent grads are really going to be spending too much time figuring out what, how to freeze their credit and like.
So if anyone in your life is about to graduate,
or even if they're still in school,
consider helping them out with identity protection services, including credit freezes, transaction alerts,
dark web monitoring, proton mail.
Don't forget regular credit reports. And trust me, it's a win-win. And that's our tinfoil swan. What the Hack with Adam Levin is a production of Loud Tree Media, produced by Andrew Stephen and Travis Taylor. Our executive producers are Beau Friedlander and Adam Levin. That's me. You can find us online at adamlevin.com and Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook at Adam K. Levin. Come back next week
and rate and review. It really helps people find the show.
Behind every empire are the people history tried to forget. Lost Roman Heroes tells the stories of the remarkable characters who shaped Rome from its mythical beginnings to its final fall.
Each episode blends armchair storytelling, sharp historical insight, and a bit of humor to bring these lost figures to life. From generals to scientists, from rebels to empresses, from priests to politicians, these lost Roman heroes have one thing in common.
They stood up for civilization when the bad guys threatened, and in doing so, they changed the course of human history. If you're into history that's vivid, surprising, and deeply human, this show's for you.
Behind every great meal is a person with a story to tell. Hear them on Culinary Characters Unlocked, the podcast that reveals the lives behind the food. Hosted by me, David Page, Emmy Award-winning journalist and creator of Diners, Drive-Ins, and Dives, as I talk with everyone from culinary legends to mom-and-pop standouts about the creativity, grit, and passion that shape the food we love. Follow Culinary Characters Unlocked on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts.